Boom. Fantastic. So the name of our program is called Walk a Mile, and the title itself is a direct reference to what is known as the peer mentoring concept. So for the first time in our departmental history, we are building our own mentoring program for returning citizens. And as quite a departure from long-held corrections philosophy, we are going to utilize as kind of our core group of mentors people that have gone through the experience of incarceration and reentry. Um, Forever and a day, and not just our department, but corrections department nationwide, the prevailing theory has been a felon does not associate with another felon under any circumstances. The thought process is they're going to conspire to do bad things. It's cats and dogs living together. The sky will fall, yada, yada, yada. Well, arguably, in the right context, i.e. a mentoring program, someone who has truly walked a mile in the shoes of our clients often make for the best mentors. They can truly identify with that person. They've been literally where they are. To be clear, we are seeking mentors from all walks of life, whether someone has ever been criminal justice involved or not. And the reason for that, we recognize many of our clients will want a peer mentor, but we also recognize for many of our clients, it will be more important to them to be paired with someone that, for example, shares their faith, similar veteran status, same trade or line of work, a lot of different factors. So we want to have a wide variety of mentors available. So we are recruiting mentors, again, from all walks of life. A few things that I will touch on today, and again, I promise to be very brief, a little bit about our departmental history with mentoring, what we're looking to get out of the program for our clients, key ways mentors can help, a little overview, what the program is, what it is not. I'll touch on the software that we're going to use. Mentor reporting goes along with that. I'll talk about the program analysis that we will have done, what we're looking for in mentors, and kind of the big question in the room for many groups that I speak with. Why would I want to be a mentor for a convicted felon? And I'll tell you, it is a fair question, but I promise I will give you a good answer. So as a department, we have had mentoring available for our clients for a very long time, but for lack of a better way to put it, we've always kind of outsourced this. Historically, we've partnered with community organizations throughout the state that have done mentoring on our behalf. And while many groups have done tremendous work and continue to do so, and we intend to continue to be partners with them, in taking this approach over the years, we've identified a couple areas of concern for us, so to speak. First and foremost, it's not available everywhere in the state. Down around the Detroit metropolitan area, there are several groups that do amazing things. Likewise, over around Grand Rapids and Muskegon, there are several groups over there that just do great work. The problem is once you get outside of those metropolitan territories, it's either completely non-existent or at best it's extremely limited. Second issue is from group to group, there's no real consistency as far as their goals, their measures and metrics, their mentor training. And thirdly, far too often, we find that our clients just don't make a good connection with the mentors they're paired with. And in nearly every case, that falls down to either A, it's a personality conflict, or B, they just literally have nothing in common. And I always think back to the movie The Karate Kid, where you have Daniel-san and Mr. Miyagi. And despite being decades apart in age and coming from completely different cultures, they form this magical bond and these amazing things happen. And that's largely Hollywood nonsense. Most real life, it just doesn't happen that way. Mentoring, like any other relationship, there has to be some common ground. There has to be some kind of spark there for that relationship truly to develop and become meaningful for everyone involved. So for a variety of reasons, it's been on our departmental radar for a long time to develop our own program. Well, in 2019, our director, Heidi Washington, actually wrote into the strategic plan for the department that we will develop our own program. About the closest thing to writing it in stone for a department as you can get. A little history about how we got to that point. Several years ago, one of our deputy directors went to a conference, and there was a gentleman there from all places, the Idaho Department of Corrections, who gave a presentation about what was at the time their recently launched mentoring program. And what really caught everyone's attention is that they were exclusively employing the peer mentoring concept. Again, corrections philosophy, felons don't associate with other felons. So that got immediately everyone's attention in the room. He talked about the amazing results they'd achieved in a very short amount of time. They talked about how selective they were and who they allowed in the program as mentors, and we intend to do the same thing. But I think what was really kind of the kicker for the whole thing was that he also had one of their program participants, a returning citizen mentee, address the group. And without going into the full story, his message was just a couple days out of prison, he ran into a situation where his mentor, and by extension, that program, literally saved his life. So our deputy, he was so impressed by what he heard, he came back, had many conversations with our director, the rest of our administrative staff, and again, 2019, it was written into our plan. Unfortunately, the pandemic hit not long after, slowed down the whole world, us included. But again, about a year ago, I was brought on board to design, build, and run this program. So what we're looking to do with this, much like many other things that we do at MDOC, first and foremost, we want to reduce recidivism. I will very proudly say that we're at a near historic low. Last number I saw was about 23.5%. And nationwide, on average, that number hovers between the 50 and 60% range. So we're doing very well, but especially for our program participants, we want to see that number go even lower. We want to reduce the abscond rates, or the number of times our participants just stop showing up. They fall off the face of the earth, if you will. And that's no good for anyone. We also want to reduce technical violations. And in layman's terms, these are things that are perfectly legal for you and I to do, but as a condition of parole, for example, you have a curfew, you can't consume alcoholic beverages. There's a laundry list of these things. And someone can be returned to prison for too many technical violations, or even one serious violation, not for committing a new crime. So we want to see those go down. And also the number of times that our participants come in, they don't pass their alcohol or drug screen. Pretty self-explanatory why that's important. Our secondary objectives, I've heard some people refer to these as kind of the touchy-feelies, but they're no less important. We want to increase their overall optimism, their outlook on life, and perhaps most importantly, their confidence that they can make it through their parole period without ending up back in prison for one reason or another. It's very basic human nature that your attitudes lead to your actions lead to your outcomes. So we want to start at square one and truly start to build hope and confidence in that person that they can be successful in what they're looking to do in life, which should lead to better decision making, better actions, better outcomes. Many ways mentors can help. First and foremost, we want to very strategically, very intentionally place someone in their life who is that rock solid figure. Someone who consistently role models very positive pro-social ways of thinking, good behaviors. So many people, when they come out of prison, they either have no one in their life because all their friends and family have either passed on, moved on, or just want nothing to do with them. They're essentially isolated in the world. Or they may come out and have a lot of people in their life, but none of them are a very good influence. So again, we want to make sure they have that good rock solid person there for them. In general, help them make their way back to society following incarceration. There's a lot of things that go with this. And before I go any further, in fairness to our parole agents, their number one job is to work toward that person's success, to meet their needs, to make sure that they're employed, they have a place to live, they have the treatment they need, everything like that. The problem is kind of twofold. Number one, many of our agents oftentimes will have 50, 100, 150 clients, and they're trying to do all this for each individual person, and it can be very challenging to give each person the individual attention they may need at certain times. The other problem is many of our clients have a bit of a mental block when it comes to their agent. Even though they're there again objectively to see to their success, they still see their agent as someone on the other side of the fence, so to speak. They're MDOC, I'm a parolee, so I'm scared to death that I'm going to say or do the wrong thing and it's going to end up me being returned to prison. So quite often they'll come in and they will nod their head and say everything is hunky-dory when 9 things are going sideways in their life. Our hope is that a quality mentor can build a good relationship with someone, have very open, honest conversations, and help identify some of those needs, and either independently or hopefully in conjunction with the parole agent to start get these things addressed. get these gaps filled, if you will. But in general, one of the big things is employment. We don't expect mentors to find jobs for mentees, but they can help polish their resume, help them work on their interviewing skills. But it's not to say that a mentor might not have a lead on a job opening or a felon-friendly employer. Technology is huge. The way I describe it, the longer someone has been incarcerated, they might as well be paroled to Mars. The whole world has changed. Things like smartphones, touchscreen checkouts at the supermarket, navigating the internet. It's literally space age technology. So helping them kind of learn how to use some of these modern things. Sometimes helping them identify appropriate social services, available programs. Again, agents are in tune, but if they can't identify a need, they don't know where to direct someone. In general, providing a lot of encouragement, accepting responsibility is huge. And I don't necessarily mean for what resulted in their incarceration, but for their decision-making and their actions moving forward. We very much want our mentors to be windshield people, not rear view mirror people. Personal empowerment is huge. When you live a prolonged period of incarceration where on a daily basis you are told when to go to bed, when to get up, when to eat, when to shower, when to go to class, when to go to yard, and then suddenly you find yourself back in free society where you're expected to make all your decisions on your own, that can be a very hard switch to flip for many people. And also just providing that consistent encouragement to make positive changes moving forward. Most mentoring in hard terms really comes down to having that someone that they can have, again, those very open, honest, non-judgmental, empathetic type conversations with. I think that's one of the reasons something like therapy has become so popular and prevalent in the past 10, 20 years. It's oftentimes much easier to have a conversation with someone that's not an immediate family member or a longtime friend, because you don't expect that person to come at you with a bunch of judgment or preconceived notions or to tell you what you need to do. You can get very honest, open feedback when you build that good relationship. Goal setting is huge, problem solving skills, a lot of encouragement to continue with and complete their treatment programs, sometimes actively assisting them with community resources. That can be as simple as helping them fill out an application, especially if it's online and they've never been on the internet. Too many things really to go over in full scope, but just a snapshot. In many ways, mentors can truly be a big help. So a few things about our program. We've had a target launch date of April 1st. I can tell you right now that we will not launch on April 1st. And the main reason is that our software that we are going to put in place to help manage this entire program, which I'll touch on here in a moment, it has to go through a long vetting process by the Department of Technology Management and Budget. They are very stringent in their security protocol testing. I've had many vendors tell me, not jokingly, tell me that it's easier for NASA to get software purchased and installed than it is for the state of Michigan. Which on one hand, it's good. They're very careful, they're very thorough, but on the other hand, it slows things down. It's a bit of a moving target. I'm optimistic that May or June we can launch this program, but again, it's still a moving target. When we launch, it will launch statewide, not just a few select pilot offices. So our clients from the tip of the UP down to the Ohio border, from Lake Michigan to Lake Huron, will be able to participate. For both clients and mentors in this program, participation is 100% voluntary. So for our clients, we will never mandate that they take part in a mentoring program, nor will we penalize them if they elect not to participate. Our clients that do participate will do so at the recommendation of their parole agent. The agent knows them a lot better than I ever will. They will be in a much better position to make a judgment call if that person is in a position in their life where a mentoring program will be in their best interest. So for example, there are some clients where they have so much going on that one more thing on their plate would be overwhelming. They just started a new job, just moved into a new place, just started treatment. They're trying to reconnect with family. And one more thing could cause the entire house of cards to tumble, so to speak. But the hard reality, on the other hand, is that not every one of our clients that comes out is serious about changing their life. We are not trying to drag a horse to water that does not want to drink. Everyone in this program is an adult. But those that do participate in the program will be the people that have looked back and recognize where they've been is not where they want to be, And perhaps most importantly, they recognize they could use some help in getting there. Mentors also will be volunteer mentors. I have spoken with every DOC in the nation that runs any kind of mentoring program, and literally hundreds of community organizations nationwide that have done this for many years. And they've shared a few very important things with me. Number one, anytime any of these groups have gone down the path of paying their mentors, each one ended up with a significant number of people that were going through the motions for a paycheck, doing absolutely nothing to help the client. Number two, almost as a direct result of that, what they have found with volunteer mentors is you end up with people that are doing it for the right reasons. They have big hearts. They want to see someone be successful. They want to see their communities become better places. And number three, and this makes perfect sense from the client's point of view, it would be perfectly reasonable and understandable for them to look at their mentor and think, there's no way I will ever trust you. No way I will ever believe we'll have a confidential conversation because you're on the payroll of the department. Whatever I tell you, you're just going to run back and whisper in the ear of the agent. So much like I do in my report day, I'm going to nod my head and say, everything's fine. And those relationships don't develop into anything meaningful. They don't uncover issues, problems. They don't work through things. So again, for everyone involved, 100% voluntary. We talked a little bit already about peer and non-peer mentors. Again, we are recruiting both. In our program, men will mentor men, women will mentor women. We don't want to place anyone in any type of dangerous or precarious position. We don't want any unintended outcomes from a mentoring relationship. I'll kind of leave it at that. We will have mentor training. It will be available online 24/7. It will be self-paced, but it is designed to provide every mentor with a good base of skills to be an effective mentor in our program. It will cover things such as boundary setting, goal setting, communication skills, trauma-informed care, an introduction to motivational interviewing, growth mindset, things of that nature to, again, equip people with the skills needed to be a good mentor. And most of our mentoring will be one-on-one, but over time, if we find there are places where group mentoring is needed or preferred, we will absolutely support that as well. The software that we're going to use, it will do many great things for us. It helps manage the entire program. Everyone who participates will enroll in this program. It will give us a lot of good reports, customizable reports. People can schedule their mentoring sessions right in here. You'll get automatic reminders. There's a vast training resource library built in. We are going to add our own section of available community resources and social services broken down by county. But what will really be probably arguably the best benefit to this software for us will be in the way that we match people up. So everyone in this program who participates will enroll. And the first thing that happens is you build your personal profile. It will be completely customizable to meet the needs of our program because this is vastly different than workplace mentoring, youth mentoring, education. So again, it will be tailored to this program specifically. The second thing that happens is everyone who participates will have a very brief, it's about a 60-second evidence-based personality assessment. And then this software, they use a proprietary algorithm which draws on all the information from the profile and the personality assessment to give us a short list of best matches for each client with mentors in their immediate area. We will use that as our starting point. We will still manually pair people up. And before we do that, we're going to have a long conversation with the mentor, with the client, and the parole agent to make sure that everyone is comfortable with the pairing, everyone's on the same page. And as mentors, we will right off the bat very intentionally ask you if you have any exclusion criteria. So if you would prefer not to be paired up with someone who has a history of substance use disorder, or is a registered sex offender, or is a violent offender, any number of things, we will absolutely respect those wishes. Ayana, for example, if you said, I'm happy to mentor any lady coming out of prison, but for my own personal reasons, I don't want to be paired up with someone who has a history of alcoholism, for example. If we were to then pair you up with a known alcoholic, we're probably not setting the stage for success in that mentoring relationship. So again, our volunteer mentors, we're going to absolutely 100% respect your wishes. We will ask that mentors report their mentoring contacts. But again, our mentors are volunteers. Mentors have jobs, lives, families, other commitments. So we're going to make it very easy to do. You can do that on a desktop, laptop, even an app on your smartphone. Should only take about a minute, minute and a half to complete that mentoring report. And all we're looking for is very basic information. We want to know, when did you meet? How long did it last? Was it in person, Zoom, FaceTime, phone call, what have you? And then in terms of the conversation during that mentoring session, what was the topic only? Could be employment, treatment, housing, reconnecting with family. Nitty gritty details of that conversation, we don't need to know, we don't want to know. Good mentoring is built on that trust and confidentiality. Did you set or achieve any goals with a mentee? And lastly, is there anything that you might consider a check mark in the win column for them? You know, they got a job, they completed treatment, they reconnected with family, whatever the case may be. And that information, that basic information that we collect, we're going to use in two distinct ways. Number one, over time, if we find out that most of the mentoring conversations are about, for example, employment, we will shift more resources and energy in that direction. Or if it's housing, we'll go in that direction, or whatever the breakdown might be. But we are also going to use that information in a partnership with MSU, who is going to do an independent program analysis for us. In building this program, one of the things that I was insistent upon, and fortunately the administration is in full agreement, we want an independent third-party set of eyes on what we're doing with this program. So we will be working with a criminal justice professor who we have worked with to do evaluations on many of our programs in the past. She has also worked with many other agencies in Michigan and nationwide. The lady really knows her business when it comes to program evals. And she's being assisted by a PhD student who is also has a long history of doing program evaluations. So two very sharp ladies from MSU who are going to have eyes on our program, and they're going to let us know, are we actually doing what we're setting out to do? Are we achieving our goals? Are our clients actually benefiting from participating in this program? And they will be able to drill down, give us a lot of information. For example, are clients benefiting more from having a peer or a non-peer mentor? Are they benefiting more by having more frequent meetings or less frequent meetings? Are people in Northern Michigan benefiting more or less than Southern Michigan? Pretty much anything that we want to know. What are we doing well? What are we not doing well? They are going to anonymously survey everyone involved, including the parole agents, to get their honest feedback. What can we do to improve things? What I have found interesting in building this program over the past year is that while there is basically worldwide agreement that mentoring programs, when well constructed, well supported, well administered, they just work, regardless of application. However, when it comes to the topic of quote unquote adult offender mentoring, there's next to nothing out there. If you look at youth offender mentoring, there are more papers, more research, more data than you can shake a stick at that shows that people that participate in these programs, they excel compared to those that do not. Our hope is that once MSU completes their study, it's based on hard data, it's peer reviewed, it's out for the world to see, that other departments nationwide will follow our lead and that of the state of Idaho, build programs of their own, and really start to affect a sea change nationwide on how departments look at how they're doing what they're doing. What we're looking for in our mentors, it looks like a long list, but it's really kind of basic. We would like someone to be at least 25 years old. Of course, want to help somebody turn their life around, somebody that has good listening skills. We want them to be committed to the program as a whole, not just their individual mentee. We want them to be willing to ask questions, answer questions, share resources. We will ask that mentors be able to provide 2 non-family member references. We want to make sure they're making a good impression on the community, not just their immediate circle. I will personally interview each mentor applicant. If I happen to be out sick that day, another member of our offender success team will conduct that interview, get to know the person a little bit better, and again, be willing to complete mentor training. So kind of the big question in the room for a lot of people, why would someone want to be a mentor in a program like this? Well, what I think a lot of people don't realize is that about 95% of the people that are in prison right now at some point will be released on parole. That's a large number of people. And for some people, that can seem kind of scary. considering the fact that when they are released, we are not paroling them to North Dakota or Afghanistan or Timbuktu. They're coming right back to our communities. The reality is, anyone on parole could move next door to you, me, any of our friends, any of our family members. We already talked about, people do what they know, but as a society, as leaders in communities, as individuals, we have a moral duty to help one another. There are groups all over the world that are focused on doing things to benefit children or the elderly, the disabled, veterans, animals, the environment, you name it. But one group of people that is almost always left out of consideration are people that have made a bad decision, have paid their debts to society, are trying to come back to our communities and get their life on track. Again, doors are closed, arm's length where they're held. People do what they know. We want them to have opportunities to do good things. So collectively, as a department, as people, we have two options when someone comes out. We can wave our finger in their face, slap them on the wrist, so to speak, kick them out the door and say, I hope you learned your lesson. Don't come back here. And really what we're doing, we're hoping for the best. We're rolling the dice. Or flip side, we can come together to provide those opportunities, provide that support, and really help that person to be their best. A lot of good benefits to becoming a mentor. And without going through the full list, objectively, again, every person that stays on the right track, it makes the world a better place. If you've ever been a mentor or even a parent, a teacher, a coach, a counselor, you know the amazing feeling that comes with truly helping, making a life-changing difference for someone, and by extension, their entire family. Sometimes that's a generational effect. You can't quantify that. You can't put a dollar sign to it. You'll get excellent training. As the person that has developed and formulated all of the training, I promise you it is very manageable. It's broken down into bite-sized chunks. It's self-paced, but I've intentionally made it very interesting, very engaging, equip you with good skills. For a lot of people, it's good on a resume. It's considered community service work, doing something beyond yourself. You'll have a lot of opportunities. Networking will be huge. We will have a lot of events all over the state throughout the years where it could be something as simple as a get together, a cookout or a barbecue, but we will have guest speakers. We will have motivational speakers. We'll have people coming in from different industries, different universities to share information, share opportunities. Some of our mentors will have the opportunity to go on and become what are known as peer recovery coaches in our department. That's a separate conversation. There's a lot of details there, but these are well-paying positions within MDOC. But we recognize that, we could build the greatest mentoring program the world has ever seen. We have nothing but support for this program, literally from the director on down to our parole agents, people inside and outside the facilities. But we can't do this on our own. We need good people from every community to step up and say, you know what, I'm going to invest a little bit of my time, a little bit of my heart, a little bit of my experience to help someone live a better life, and by extension, make my community a better place, make my neighborhood a safer place. I know I've thrown a lot of information at you all in a very short amount of time, but I would like to toss it back out to all of you. What questions might you have for me? Concerns, suggestions? I am all ears.
Great. Thank you, Tony. I just want to say that was a fantastic presentation. I really enjoyed it. I'll go ahead and stop the recording.